about Tickling.
You don't have to talk into that at all.
Okay, well, Tickling lived with this mean old woman. So one day, the mean old woman said, Tickling, I want you to go to the river and bring me a pail of water. So Tickling went out and got this pail of water, and as she's walking through the house, she spilled one little drop on the mean old woman's carpet. And the mean old woman said, no, Tickling, see what you did. I'm going to sew you up in the bag. So she took poor little Tickling and sewed her up in the bag. And she said, and now I'm going to the woods to get some sticks to whip you with when I get back. So poor little Tickling cried as though her heart would break. And she reached in her pocket for a handkerchief. And what should she find but a penknife? So she took the penknife and cut open the bag, and then she ran outside and got all the old woman's chickens, all the old woman's ducks, all the old woman's turkeys, and their dishes and silverware. And she put them in the bag and she sewed up the bag. And then she ran out and climbed up the tree. In the meantime, the old woman said, I'm going to the woods to get some sticks to whip you with when I get back. So Tickling's up in the tree and she hears the old woman coming back, and she's grumbling to herself saying, no, I'm going to get that Tickling. Just wait, I'm going to get that Tickling. And when she gets in the house, she throws down the bundle of sticks, and she takes one and she hits the bag. And the turkey begins to gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. And she says, oh, Tickling, I know your tricks. You need to make a noise like my turkeys. And she hits again. And the duck began to quack, 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 quack. And she says, oh, Tickling, I know your tricks. You need to make a noise like my ducks. Then she hits again, bang. And she hears the dishes rattle. And she's sure it's Tickling's bones breaking. So she opens the bag, and out rolled all the old woman's turkeys, all the old woman's ducks, all the old woman's chickens, and her dishes and silverware. So she says, I must find that Tickling. And in the meantime, Tickling had jumped down from the tree, gone to the river, gotten a boat, and rowed across the river. So when the old lady came out of the house, she sees Tickling across the river, and she says, yoo-hoo, Tickling, yoo-hoo, how did you get over there? And Tickling said, I put my right foot in my left ear and my left foot in my right ear, and I shut my eyes and jumped. And the old woman did that, and she was drowned. And Tickling got in the boat, rowed back, and lived happily ever after with all the old woman's ducks, all the old woman's chickens, and all the old woman's dishes and silverware. And that's the end of this story. I'll tell you about Peasy and Beansy.
You ever hear about Beansy and Peasy? Oh, this is a good one.
Well, there were two girls, and they lived with their mother. And one's name was Peasy, and the other one's name was Beansy. So the mother was going to send Peasy quite a distance. She had to go quite a distance to go to her grandfather's home, and the grandfather lived with an uncle and aunt. So Peasy got herself ready, and she started out this morning. It was really a bright morning, and as she walked along, the birds were singing, and the trees were so pretty and green. So anyway, she went on, and she first came to a little fire, and the fire says to her, please, kind Peasy, will you clear away the ashes that keep me from burning better? And Peasy got down and scraped away the ashes and put some more sticks on the fire, and pretty soon the fire was burning brightly. And the fire seemed to say, thank you, kind Peasy, thank you. Then she went further. She walked further on, and she finally come to a plum tree. And the plum tree said, please, kind Peasy, will you clear away my old branches so that I can bear more fruit? So Peasy got busy and broke off the dead branches off of the tree, you know. And then she could hear the tree say, thank you, kind Peasy, thank you. And then she walked on, and she come to a stream of water. And the stream seemed to say to her, please, kind Peasy, clear away the sand that keeps me from flowing on to the big river. So Peasy got down on her knees, and she cleared away the sand. And finally the water started to flow quickly, and it seemed to say, thank you, kind Peasy, thank you. So finally, not too much longer, she finally arrived at the grandfather's house. And the grandfather and the uncle and aunt met her at the gate. And they said, oh, come on, kind Peasy, you're so kind to come. You're so good to come and help us through summer. They needed some help because grandfather was getting too old to help. So she stayed all summer helping wherever she was needed, in the fields and around. And finally it was time for her to go home. So you know what they did? They got a big elephant. And they piled the elephant with all sorts of very nice things for her to take home for her own home, and she had one. So she got on the elephant and waved them all goodbye, you know, said goodbye, goodbye, and they waved to her. As long as they could see her, they waved to her. And then finally, as she went along, she came to the stream that she cleared the sand away from. And there was the most beautiful dress of material she ever saw. And it said, here, this is all for you, kind Peasy. Take it, kind Peasy. Take it. Material.
Oh, the material costume.
The material costume said, take this, kind Peasy. It's all for you. It's all for you. So she took it and put it on her elephant. Then she went further and she came to the plum tree. And the plum tree was just loaded with plums. Said, here, kind Peasy, take them. They're all for you. They're all for you. You've been so kind to us. So then she went on, and she come to the fire. And there on the fire was the nicest little griddle cake you ever saw. And the fire said, take it, kind Peasy. It's all for you. It's all for you. So she got down and took the griddle cake, and she put it up on her elephant, and she went on home. And when she went on home, her mother and her sister met her, and here she's got this big elephant just loaded with beautiful things. And then she went in and she told them all she did all summer. So Beansy said, oh, I want to go, Mother, I want to go. So Beansy got ready the following day, and she started out. And when Beansy came to the fire says, please, kind Beansy, will you clear away the ashes so I can burn better? And she said, I'm not dirtying my hands in your ashes. And she went on. Then she comes to the plum tree. And the plum tree says, please, kind Peasy, will you take away all the dead branches that are keeping me from growing better? And she says, oh, who was your servant last year? And she went on. And she finally came to the water, to the little stream. And the stream said, please, kind Peasy, will you clear away the sand that's keeping me from going on to the big rivers? And she said, well, I'm not getting down there dirtying my hands for anyone. And she went on. And when she comes to the grandfather's house, the grandfather and uncle and aunt said, go away, kind Beansy. Go away, Beansy. We still want you here. Go away. After your sister Peasy has worked all summer hard in the heat and worked real hard, you want to come and you want to get all those nice things. Go away, go away. They even threw stones at her. And one hit her head, and she had the worst headache. So she went on. She had to go on because she didn't want to get hit anymore. And she come to the water. Sure enough, there was the most beautiful dress material she ever saw. It's beautiful, just sort of floating on the water. And she wanted it. She tried to reach for it. And as she tried to reach for it, she fell in the water and got all wet. The dress material floated away. And here she gets up out of the water. She's soaking wet. She's got a headache. And she says, never mind, I'll get the plums. When I come to that plum tree, I'll get the plums. So she comes to the plum tree, and when she comes there, sure enough, there's plums at the top of the tree. So she had to start climbing, and she started to climb. And while she was climbing, she stepped on a dead branch, and it broke, and she fell to the ground. And she doesn't know how long she lay there, but she finally woke up. And her head wasn't only hurting, but she was hurting all over. And and she's all wet, and she had to yet get home that night, so she started on. And she said, never mind, when I come to the fire, I'll get the nice griddle cake. So she walked down, and sure enough, there was a nice griddle cake on the fire. So she went over to it and grabbed the griddle cake, and just as she grabbed it, the fire leaped up and burned her hand. She had to drop it. And a big bird comes and swooped down and picked up the cake and flew away from her. So here she is. Her finger's burning. She's blowing her finger. It hurts her so. The burn hurts her so. She's blowing her finger. She finally runs home. She's all wet, got a headache and a burned finger, and she's crying. And she tells her mother and sister all that happened. And she said, and kind Peasy says, well, never mind, I'll share everything I received this summer with you. She says, no, kind Peasy, I don't want anything you have. I want to learn to be kind and good like you.